Good morning, Mark. Firstly, thank you very much for agreeing to take part on this call.
My pleasure, Michael. Good morning to you.
If we can kick off, if you can just introduce yourself and give the listeners a little bit of a background about yourself and what you do.
Okay, Michael. Well, I'm Mark Lee. I'm self-employed, provide a number of services that help accountants. And they're mostly related to soft skills or tax, which I know is a combination you don't often come across. And over the years, I suppose I've principally been networking with accountants, bankers and lawyers for many years. But most recently, since I stopped being in practice as a senior tax advisor, I've been also networking with business people, consultants, trainers and small business owners, and love it.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about networking. Firstly, would you like to give the listeners an idea of what networking means to you? What is networking as far as you're concerned?
Well, when I lecture on networking to accountants, I always say that networking is not the same as not working. It's not net eating, it's not net drinking, it's not even net flirting, although there is a nice acronym for to flirt with your networking. Networking, I think, is about building relationships. When you go networking, whatever your ultimate purpose is, whether it's to find people who are going to be interested in your services, people who might buy something from you, people who will act as your advocates, people who might introduce you to someone who can find you a job. Ultimately, when you're networking, you either are or should be looking to develop relationships.
And moving on to what you do, where and when do you network?
I suppose most of my networking is done in the evenings. I've occasionally been to lunchtime networking events, and I've even tried breakfasts a couple of times.
Yeah.
There are facilities to go networking at breakfast time. I'm not at my best then. I've tried it in different places, doesn't suit me. So most of my networking is done at, I'll say, parties, functions, events, and networking occasions, if you like, and they're generally in the evenings after the normal working day.
The inference from that is most of it is face-to-face. Do you do networking online as well?
Well, I suppose I do. I've joined up with Academy, which is, I think of it as a business networking community for small business people and those looking to provide services to small business people, although there's many larger business people there as well, and there's many people from larger businesses there too.
Right.
But beyond Academy, I'm also involved with a couple of, they're not really networking sites, but things like Accounting Web, Taxation Web. They're websites that provide facilities for specialists to communicate and coordinate with each other. And indeed, I'm about to launch the Tax Advice Network,
right,
which will also be a networking community for tax advisors and accountants.
Okay. Moving on from that, talking about what do you actually do when you network? Two bits to this question. What do you do when you network? If you were teaching somebody that was very new to networking, what are the key things you would tell them to actually do?
Well, as I say, I run courses on this, but in a few minutes, I think you have to focus on what you can realistically expect from attending any networking opportunity.
Right.
People are not normally going to choose to buy from you or even to act as your advocate and recommend you to other people because they've met you and you've thrust a business card in their hand. So it's very important to listen to what people are saying, think about how you can help them, and remember that people will find you more interesting if you're more interested in them.
Right.
And ask for the other person's business card before you thrust yours at them. There's no point in just going out and playing business card confetti and distributing cards to people who have no interest in you or your service. They're not going to decide because they've got a spare moment to go and have a look at your website because they've got your business card and they met you. Unless they've spent a little bit of time with you and they like you and they've got to know you a bit. And what you really want to do is to take it that little stage further and show that they can trust you. And one of the best ways of doing that is finding a way that you can promise to help them after the event and then following up afterwards. That is so key. And if you can then keep your promise of whatever follow-up it is you've undertaken to provide, you're well on the way to developing that relationship that, as I say, should be the foremost thought when you're attending networking events.
Okay. Imagine you're talking to your networking newbie. He's just gone to his first networking meeting. What should he actually do as he goes up and talks to people? Should he go up and talk to people? What's the real basic stuff here?
Oh, well, the real basic stuff starts before you go to a networking event. Think about what it is you want to achieve, what it is you want to gain from going there. And that includes thinking about how you hope to follow up with anybody. So if your business provides any form of news sheet or fact card or any form of promotional goods, or you have any useful tip sheets, make sure you're familiar with them so that if it's relevant in conversation with someone, you can offer to send something to them afterwards that they'll find helpful. So starting beforehand, what do you want to get out of it?
Okay.
When you're there, yes, absolutely, you can stand and be a wallflower and hope that somebody will come and talk to you. It's important to get it in the right state rather than in a right state, if you like. Everybody else is going to be in a similar situation to you. If you're nervous, I like the idea of networking newbies. So think about how you're going to introduce yourself. And you're going to appear far more professional if you're comfortable and confident in the way that you do this. One tip on that is think about how you want to be remembered.
Okay. How do you introduce yourself?
Well, it depends who I'm talking to. These days, I say that I'm the founder of the Tax Advice Network.co.uk, which is a unique facility enabling accountants to access tax advisors that will help their clients when their clients have tax issues and problems that are different to the norm that require specialist tax advice. That's a bit of a mouthful, so it's not always suitable, and particularly in general networking events, I might just start by saying I help accountants. And
Right.
hopefully that leads people to say,
How? Yeah. Okay, what skills do you have that enable you to network?
I think a genuine interest in other people, being friendly, approachable, and a genuine desire to help people. I'm not nervous about talking to strangers, but I used to be, and I recognise lots of other people are. And I suppose one of the things I enjoy doing is seeing people who are standing by themselves and thinking, well, I'm going to go and help them out. I'm going to go and say, hi, I'm Mark. What's your name?
Okay, what do you think it was that happened that enabled you to stop being frightened of talking to people?
That's a difficult one. I've been pretty outgoing since the age of 14 when I started entertaining at children's parties. I did that for 25 years, so I've never really had a problem talking to people. But at sort of grown-up events, if you like,
Right.
I suppose I had some training, I think, that opened my eyes to the fact that everybody's in a similar situation. People go to networking events to meet other people. You are very unlikely to be turned away by someone if you say, hello, may I join you? And if you appear to be open and interested in other people. And trying it a few times, I found it was a lot easier than I thought it would be.
Okay. What do you believe about yourself when you network?
What do I believe about myself? I believe that I am genuinely interested in helping other people, and that because my focus is on helping them rather than on trying to sell something, I tend to get a good reaction from the people that I talk to. Interestingly, maybe I'm fooling myself, because there is no doubt that I follow up with other people more than they follow up with me.
But this is what you believe. It doesn't have to be true.
Yeah, that's also true,
Yeah. What do you believe about the people? You don't know, you're in a networking group for the first time, you don't know the people there. Before you go up and talk to them, what beliefs do you have about them?
I try not to have preconceived expectations. There are some occasions where you've met one or two people and they thrust business cards at you and you think, oh no, it's going to be a night of collecting business cards for no reason at all. But do they want me just to add them to my mailing lists? What do they expect? And if I've had one or two of those, then I'll be a bit more wary about the other people I meet. Or I'll end up gravitating to those people who I already know, which makes it less valuable as a networking opportunity, but more valuable from enhancing existing relationships. And there's no harm in that.
When you're networking, do you have a personal mission or vision? Who is Mark Lee in a networking meeting?
Mark Lee is different. Mark Lee is unusual. Mark Lee is this guy who helps accountants. Helps me realise that maybe my accountant needs helping, or that maybe I should be thinking about finding another accountant. there aren't many people like Mark Lee around. I suppose I do like to be recognised as different. My business card has a photo of it on me to help people remember me as distinct from the dozens of other people they may have met on the occasion. Personal mission is not to collect as many business cards as I can. It's to give out as many business cards as people will ask for.
Right.
I have in the past, and I've done this when I've been training people, I've said, well, set it as your mission to give out 3 or 4 cards to people where it's going to be worthwhile, where you hope it may be worthwhile, not to go out and give out 20 business cards regardless of who they're going to. But another critically important tip here, and I suppose this is part of my personal mission, is recognising who you're networking with. And it's not just the people that you talk to, not just the people who are there, it's the people who they know, who they're related to, their friends, their colleagues. You don't know who they know.
Before I ask for your contact details, is there anything that you think we've left out that relates to really good networking? Is there any last piece of advice or thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I'd say it's listen to what people say. Don't try to sell. You can't help people. You can't get them to know you and to trust you if you're only interested in what you can do and what your business is. And if I can add one more, I mentioned earlier to flirt as you network can be acceptable. And flirting, or flirt, stands for fun. So if you want to avoid giving the impression of being bored or worried, laughter, or at least having a smile on your face. I, being interested in what other people have to say. R is responding to what other people are saying through conversation, showing that you've been listening to them. And T is talking appropriately, but not extensively, about you and what you can do. So it's okay to flirt as you network.
Excellent. I like that. So how can people contact you?
My web address is www.taxadvicenetwork.co.uk and the email mark.lee@taxadvicenetwork.co.uk. I also have a blog for ambitious professionals, and that's www.bookmarklee.wordpress.com. And if anybody's desperate to phone me, I'm happy to take calls. My mobile's 077 69 692 890.
Okay, can you repeat that?
077 69 692 890.
Okay, thank you very much indeed for sharing your views.
Michael, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for talking to me.